We continue our interviews for FIAR. We have here Mr. Guy Hudson from JLT FIAR, our partner. Welcome, Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Anna.
You're here for 2 days now, I think.
Yes.
How
yes.
is FIAR so far?
Well, as always, FIAR is very exciting, very interesting. There are a lot of topics of conversation this year. Things have changed quite dramatically from last year. I suppose the main discussion points are the situation on motor third-party liability with relation to reinsurance thereof.
Yeah, we'll discuss more tomorrow about it.
Okay. Well, it is interesting, and there's the Motor Day, which would be very interesting to take part in. The issue of moral damages is something that concerns reinsurers greatly. So that was something that is causing some discussions. There is the now perennial issue of the compulsory household insurance policies, whether they're compulsory, how they're compulsory, who will be allowed to issue them, the role of PIDE and the PAD policy. So that is something else which is causing great interest. And some discussion about reinsurers' attitude towards Romania and Eastern Europe, and whether there is any significant change. In my opinion, there isn't a significant change, just perhaps more concern over the development of losses in certain lines of business, such as motor.
So these were conclusions from the reinsurance market workshop that you just attended, or the general discussions from FIAR?
Well, they're general discussions.
How about the workshop, the recent ended workshop?
Yes, the workshop, the issues discussed were relating to those same issues, but also what the strategies are for the different types of insurance company operating in Central and Eastern Europe. Distinction was made between international companies who operate on a global basis, multinationals who operate more on a regional or a European basis, and then domestic companies who are domestic. And the purpose and role of reinsurance, its relative importance, depends on what sort of company it is. It continues to be ever more important as a subject. Solvency is key. Solvency II may have been postponed, but the issues remain. So we had a very interesting discussion with some very interesting intercessions from some eminence grise of the market, such as Cristi Constantinescu, and from the Turkish market, Muzaffer Aktaş, who is well known, and he talked generically about what insurance companies should be doing, and more importantly, what reinsurance companies should be doing in order to encourage insurance companies to expand their involvement in territories, including the household policies. So yes, it was a delight to co-chair that with Remo Iantea, and it was an interesting discussion.
Mr. Hudson, one of the most important subjects debated at FIAR is the fact that some major reinsurance groups announced recently their decision to pull back from Romania or reduce their activity on the local market. What seem to be the main causes of this situation?
I don't think one can. I think one can overestimate what is happening. In most cases, the statements really relate to the motor third-party liability excessive loss, and it's even there not that they are unwilling to write the reinsurances of the motor liability, but that they are unwilling to do so at the present terms and conditions. And when I say terms and conditions, I mean both the prices and the level of deductible.
So our insurers must do something.
Well, I think it's a tricky situation, because very often the level of retained risk for the insurance companies is dictated by their capital. And in the absence of new, fresh capital, reinsurance is the only way of increasing the retention, and in the absence of reinsurers being willing to write the risk, it does cause a bit of a headache. But more importantly, like most problems, it reverts back to the original risk, and I think all companies have to consider whether they are actually issuing policies at the right risk premium for those risks.
How do you appreciate the reinsurance rates for Romania compared to other countries in the CE?
I think it's very difficult to compare geographically because, of course, if you're looking at motor, the rates will depend on the claims, and the claims are different in Romania as they are in Poland or Germany. Having said that, the minimum statutory third-party liability limits have increased. The awards by the courts have increased. Medical cost inflation has increased. So we see an increasing in awards, not necessarily compensated by increase in the original rates. So I think in terms of motor business, motor third-party liability business, it's very difficult to compare. And then, of course, in property business, when it comes to catastrophe risk, Romania is, within the region, the most exposed to earthquake and volatile losses. And there, I would suggest that the rates are fairly competitive at the moment. I think that there are one or two reinsurers who are not happy to give their capacity at the existing rates for standalone programs and may write it as a combined program. But I think perhaps the good news for insurance companies in Romania is that there's a lot more capital coming into the reinsurance market, predominantly looking perhaps at America at the moment and Western Europe, but that may well have a knock-on effect. In effect, what is happening is there is a lot of money looking for somewhere to invest at good returns, and reinsurance has been identified by these funds, pension funds, hedge funds, as an opportunity, and that is having the effect of increasing the capacity available for catastrophe business.
Mr. Hudson, I would like to end our short discussion with a question regarding JLT business here in Romania. How is it developing? How is your relationship with the partners in Romania?
We feel that we have a very good relationship. Our team has expanded recently. We have a number of clients. We seem to have hit upon a good way of doing business in that our clients seem to appreciate the fact that we look for client-centered solutions to their problems. And we now have more than a handful of very satisfied clients in Romania.